Hi everybody, and welcome again to SDVOE Presents Face-to-Face AV with Justin Kennington. That's me, your host, Justin Kennington. I am back in the home studio, back from Barcelona. This time I am joined by the one and only Miss Steph Beckett, the managing editor of rAVe Pubs. I was going to say managing director. I had a lot of managing directors last week. I sat on the couch for most of ISE, interviewing about 20 different people for this show. It's nice to be back home. Steph, how was your trip?
It was really good, honestly. This is so my first ISE was in 2020, which everyone made sure I knew that that was not a normal ISE. And then my next ISE was last year. And this has been like my first ISE that everyone is like, this is the closest to 2019 it's ever been. So this is my
Okay.
first normal ISE. So it was really great to see how busy it was and how well it fit in Barcelona. So it was really good. I enjoyed it.
It is such, last year I talked about this because the venue was new, but it's such a nice venue for
hmm
this thing.
Oh my God, it's impossible to get lost. And that's really important for
Yeah.
someone like me who gets lost really easily. If you don't know where you are, just go up because then all the halls are super labeled.
Okay.
It's easy to get from place to place. I cannot tell you how many times I got lost at the rye at the one year that I went. I think
Honestly,
I had to
I was at the rye for
call
10
someone.
years, and I don't think I could still navigate it. And in fairness to me,
Yeah,
that's because they built a new hall every year, and some weird access hallway to get to it. So how was I supposed to
yep.
know? No, at Barcelona, I was going
Nothing
to
was
say,
super straightforward.
I like your tip of just go up. My tip is if you need a restaurant or a toilet, just find a wall. And then just follow the wall, and there will be
Yeah,
one very soon.
just follow the wall.
Oh, a
Yeah,
restaurant and a toilet. I'm
exactly.
all set.
All set. You what else do you need?
The SDVOE booth. That's what, Steph. Hello.
That's true. Hall
Um,
five.
oh, very good. Very good. All
Look at
right.
me.
Points for you. So tell me, what did you see at the show? Big revolutions, disruptions, change? The industry is falling apart? Something in between?
Something, I guess, in between. I didn't see anything that I was like, oh my God, this is going to change the face of AV as we know it. Because, like we were talking before the show, that's really rare. Something like that does not come along very often. And if it did, that just wouldn't be sustainable for our industry because that would mean we have to refresh everything we have every year.
Disrupt, disrupt, disrupt.
So,
Like, hold on a minute. I need to build
yeah.
something.
And we can't do that right now. Yeah. So I did see a ton of XR. I totally understand and see where XR is coming into the industry. And
We're
at
talking, what,
first,
what does that
they're
even stand
quite
for? That's extended reality?
extended reality
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So extended reality, these are stages that a lot of people would bring. So basically, they're LED screens on the floor and on the walls around you, and it's supposed to make changing your background really easy, and it looks good on camera. So it's going to be it is used in a lot of movie sets, but the idea of bringing it to ISE was that it's going to be the future of meetings as well. They were really pushing how this could be used in education and corporate meeting rooms and all of that, which I agree we're going to see it a lot more, but I don't think that we're going to see it as quickly as maybe it was being pushed and promoted.
And I understand if I'm right. You tell me if I got this wrong. You actually have a very ugly dishwasher, but this is an XR
Yeah.
set that you're using, and you were actually able to
Yes, it
drop in
actually
this
is. Yeah.
really beautiful and
Yeah.
nicely clean stainless
Yeah.
fronted model. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. No, I'm
Yeah, it is.
excited about the XR
Thank you.
stuff. Not because I think we'll get there for me in any short reality time, but as you can imagine, I do a lot of things with a green screen, and green screens are hard.
hmm
Is the reality of it.
They're
Getting them lit
hard.
right, getting them to really look good, takes a lot. I think it would be amazing for the SDVOE studio here to be kitted out, in a full XR LED wall, floor, ceiling environment.
Oh my God. Yeah, for sure.
I have to
I
imagine that's
think
like a half a million dollar conversation
yeah,
to start.
at least. And I would love one for rAVe Studio because, let's be honest, green screens, they suck. They suck. They're horrible to use. They're just they just things can go wrong so easily. So imagine how much easier it would be if you just had an LED screen and you just pop up the picture or background that you want to use and it just worked. you know?
You mean problems like when it was time to do this interview this morning, and I literally walked halfway down the basement stairs in a green shirt before I realized, wait a minute, I need to go change clothes.
Maybe I shouldn't do that. Yeah. Yeah, you know, like, you don't have to worry about being a floating head if you had just, like, a display behind you.
Oh, that's true. It would be harder to do the floating head trick. So that's one disadvantage of
Yeah,
the XR.
one
Um,
disadvantage.
okay, so they're cool, but you also just said that you don't think
Mhm.
they're here to revolutionize our lives.
No, because you know, when people tout that this can be used in education, like think about what an education budget is. Like that is usually typically very low, or at least in like, you know, K through 12 education settings, which, you know,
Goodness
maybe probably
gracious.
isn't going to be used there, but even in a college campus, like if it's a public school, I can't imagine like the public school being like, ah, yes, like let's spend this huge chunk of our budget on an
I'm
XR
trying to figure out what's
stage.
what's what's the use case that they're even promoting. Like, let's make the professor look like he or she is not standing at the front of a classroom, or like make it look like a
I
nicer
mean,
classroom. Like, what?
I could kind of see it used in like journalism because that's what I did in undergrad. I could totally see like one of the professors like wanting it for like the student news, like the weekly show, that type thing. Like kind of this like,
Okay,
you know, what you used to do with SCVOE live.
it becomes
Like
it
using
becomes
it
like a
in that kind of
vocational
scenario.
training sort of thing at that point. Like, if you're going into TV
Hmm.
journalism in the real world, you will be using this technology.
Exactly.
Let's get you prepped and working on it now.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Exactly.
seems like a very valid use case. It also seems like a uncommon's not the word I want to use, but we're not talking about, every professor in the school having some time on this. We're talking about like a vocational kind of thing. This is applicable to
Yeah.
your future career, so we're going to train you on it.
Exactly.
Just how there's an electrical
Not yet.
engineering lab for the electrical engineers, but the journalism students spend very little time over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is how everything in AV goes, right? Like things will come into our industry and they're quite expensive because the parts to make the thing are usually quite expensive until they realize how to remake it and remake it for cheaper. And then we start seeing it in places that are, you know, more consumer or in
Sure.
places with a lower budget. The example that I used before we started rolling was that like 4K displays, like, you know, like Back to the Future, like no one had, like you had one TV and that was if you like kind of were rolling in it. Like,
Two
you know,
TVs? You
today you
must
can
be
go to Sam's
rich.
Club. Yeah, today you can just roll up to Sam's Club, get a UHD TV for $250, like a 50-inch, and like call it a day.
Yeah.
Like things are getting cheaper all the time as they find new ways to make them. So, do I think that you and I even are going to have one of these XR stages like next year? No, but I think that it's kind of laying the groundwork for this technology to kind of start seeping in different ways.
I wonder if, now I'm taking a step back to look at real big trends. 30 years
Hmm.
ago, we lived in a technology world where new technologies, in particular around audio video, were developed in the professional environment, right? Whether that's the broadcast studio, the
Yeah.
corporate AV space, and that technology would develop and trickle down to the home, right? And would improve home technology. 10, 15 years ago, we were living in the opposite world of that, right? Things like iPhones and USB were being created and innovated for the home user, and then we're bubbling
Hmm.
up. HDMI was created for the home, and
Yeah,
then
that's
suddenly
true.
the businesses had to conform and deal with HDMI. I wonder if
Yeah.
there's this back and forth cycle. Things like XR, would come down from the pro world, from that world, and get to the consumer potentially. I'm thinking a lot of the unified collaboration stuff has done that very quickly in the
Hmm.
past 5 years. We were all
That's true.
Many folks, not all, were using Teams and Zoom and technologies like that in the corporate space 5 years ago. Of course, we had a pandemic accelerate that so that now consumers use those regularly. But not only do they use the software, I think there are even products, to improve the UCC experience at home. So,
Right.
Mark, watch this trend. Let's see if that's where we're
Yeah.
heading.
I agree. And I think that if we're going to see, so like, I would argue that like the major disruption that's happened in our industry is like the renaissance of UCC and the understanding of how important this technology in this corner of our market is. And that was because of COVID.
Hmm.
So I'm going to argue that there's gonna have to be something else that major that happens, like that affects like us in every other way before there's another major disruption like that in our industry.
Yeah, potentially so. Um, that said, I don't know what else it would be, but I think that sometimes the disruptor can come from pure technology. But there's certainly the biggest change comes when there's a technology shift and some sort of social shift at the same time, and that's what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah,
Because this UCC stuff was pretty
exactly.
new. That was a technology revolution
Hmm.
in progress, but then to have that accelerated by the social component just you know changed everybody's
Yeah.
lives, right? Now my parents know how to use Zoom.
Yeah, my dad knows what it is. Like before that, like do you ever think about how Skype like really, really fumbled the bag on that? Like, do you remember how like Skype was what everyone used?
I you know I rem-
Like
yeah.
Skype was what everyone used. I didn't know what Zoom was until grad school because that was what my advisor just preferred that we use.
Hmm.
And he was like, you have to download this to join the meeting. And I was like, what the hell is this? But yeah, okay. So I did. And that was the only reason I knew what Zoom was when I started working at rAVe full time. So like the fact that Zoom really like solidified themselves in this market by the time COVID rolled around is like absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah.
I think that should have been Skype, but Skype just for some reason just did not have it
I never
together because that was what I knew to
Yeah,
use.
yeah, it's a good point. There's something to be said for being lucky. There's something to be said for being prepared. And
Yeah,
lucky you if you can be both of those things.
yeah. Skype like RIP. Hope like
Nice knowing you.
Sorry.
We're actually using Skype to record this interview. No, no, we're not.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know how to use Skype anymore.
I assume you download an app, but I don't know. I've used it about
Yeah, it's probably an app.
thrice, which is about the same amount of times that I've
Yeah,
used the word thrice.
yeah, yeah. That's fair. Is there one that you've oh, here's like another one. This is gonna probably get me in trouble. But
Uh-oh.
have you ever looked? Do you ever like? I'm assuming you didn't really get to walk the UCC hall, but like, did you like walk it ever and like look and like find? Oh, this is like a collaboration system that I thought would be gone by now, but it's still here and exhibiting at ISE.
I did not. I know everything about the,
Okay,
the, the, the space between the SDVOE booth and the nearest toilet, which was actually quite close
for
by.
sure.
So I didn't see any of that
Yeah, it
show.
was.
Maybe you're talking about WebEx
Okay.
because I can't believe people still use that, and yet that was so
No.
that was so embedded at such big companies that don't move that like I understand
Yeah.
why that's still around,
Yeah.
even though it sucks and has always
Well, I do
sucked.
too. Because like Cisco makes tons of other things. So if you were a Cisco company, like yes, of
Right.
course you would use WebEx. But no, I'm talking about Blue Jeans. I forgot that Blue Jeans still
I like
existed.
this is where this has never quite been my space. I remember like
Yeah.
7, 8, no, close to 10 years ago, like hearing of that and wondering to myself, "Oh, what's that?" And that's like as far as I ever got.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear they're still doing something. That's good. I'm glad they're doing well.
Yeah, me too. I was like, wow, great job, guys.
Okay. Well,
You made it to ISC. Good job.
ouch.
But like but yeah, no, I can't say I've used that before.
Maybe we should check it out. We should do our next
But I will
interview on there.
say, okay, we'll try it. We'll try it. Sorry if that offends anyone. I will say I think like WebEx is my least favorite I've ever
It's
used.
I'm gonna tell you, and I am gonna be real careful here. I once needed to
Okay.
have a meeting with a very large company who was the kind of company that could be very important for SDVOE, right? Like big, big, big.
Hmm.
We want them on board kind of companies.
I think that I met at that same company before.
Possibly you have, and I'm not going to give any more
I know who
clues
you're
than
talking
that.
about.
But I'm going to say that they had
Yeah.
invented their own virtual communication software that you have to use to have meetings with them virtually,
Uh-huh.
and it was leaps and bounds ahead of WebEx in terms of poor usability. It was like, wow, like my computer doesn't work anymore is how bad your software is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Like do you like sometimes like people are like, well, we should just make this ourselves and like maybe you shouldn't. Everything like you have to have on your
well,
own.
partnerships are important sometimes. It's important to
They
understand
are.
your
They
limits,
are.
whether they be permanent or just short-term limits. And
Yeah. Did you lie though? Were you like, wow, this like collaboration system? Wow, this is so good. I kind of love how my video looks grainy. That's awesome.
I can't imagine that anything that I said got through to them as a result of the audio quality. So it doesn't matter what I said. It was rough.
So that you were like, and they were like, I think he likes it. Yeah.
I said Zoom. Let's switch to Zoom.
And they were like, he's having such a good time. Like, look at the smile on his face. It's like been frozen there for 20 seconds.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were in that meeting. You should have said hello. Maybe you tried.
He tried.
No, it was good. It was good. That was a great experience. It made me really appreciate WebEx more than I ever have.
And you know what? That's like the important part. Like maybe the real WebExes are the friends we made along the way, you know?
I think this is a perfect example. Steph, I can't decide whether to sign off or to ask if you saw anything else at ISE. Either way, I think we're in a great spot. Well, Steph, thank you for joining us. This was truly a lot of fun. I can't wait to see you at Infocom. I can't wait to reveal to all these people our secret plans for Infocom. You know what I'm talking about.
Wait, can I do?
Stay tuned. You do. We talked about it right before. Remember the thing with the thing and you can't bring the cameras?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's
Stay tuned because you're going to find out more about this. It's very exciting. Thank you, Steph, for joining. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click that subscribe button because there's more of this every Tuesday, whether you like it or not. And if you subscribe, you'll find out about it. So thanks for watching Face to Face AV.